Hello, what is up ladies and gentlemen, it is I, the one and only Ray the Flying Squirrel here, and I am of course back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Klonoa 2, Lunatea's Veil for the PlayStation 2. So, last time we did manage to able to take care of the forms of the final 3 levels of the game, ranging from the forms of Kingdom of Sorrow, and also we did manage to tackle for the forms of for the Forgotten Path, and also we did manage to take care of the final boss of the game, which is King of Sorrow himself. So, in this case though, is the fact that, oh, and by the way, after when you beat the main game, that, as you can tell, that we now have an option to able to select which specific visions we can able to choose. So in this case though, rather no need to able to backtrack with the forms of the world map or anything, so there's another alternative way you can able to actually go from one level to the other, so at least that's pretty handy I suppose, especially noticeable if you're trying to able to well, if you're missing something ranging by the forms of those specific doll parts, well, you can able to do just that. So, yeah, today for this episode, this will be the finale of this game's Let's Play, and because of that, we're going to be showing you the forms of the extra stuff of how this game offers us to. Now, if we head over to this particular fellow's house right there, well, I don't know exactly what his name is though, but I do apologize for that. Welcome, Klonoa, my friend. I've been hearing a lot about your fates. Oh, pardon me, I am Momett, the Showman of Memories. I make various attractions based on memories for everyone to enjoy. So how about it? Would you like to try one out? Oh, that reminds me. That reminds me of what? Did you happen to come across my dolls during your adventures? Well, I've collected all 16 of them. I created some memory dolls, you see. Okay then. Now what? But they all run off shouting, "We want more memories." I suppose they having grand old adventures of their own now. They aren't very sturdy though. I hope they aren't laying about broken somewhere. If you find any, could you bring them back here, please? Well, I'm sure I've already collected most of them anyway. Well, should I say all of them, mind you, because, well, as far as I'm aware, that I've basically gathered every single doll throughout the game, so... But in here though, aside from the fact that you can able to actually double check on the forms of the scrapbook, which I probably will talk more about it until whenever we get into the actual final portion of this game's extra-wise, but there's also the option of House of Horrors, which basically is a boss rush, basically. So you can able to refight against with the exact same bosses again, except the fact that I'm presuming you have to do with a time limit, so... Anyway, so as soon as we leave there, and we need to head back there again, because after we able to have a quick discussion with that particular missing dolls, as what he was trying to able to discuss upon, well, we need to head back there for the sake of the forms of trying to able to unlock something, so... Oh, my gosh, you brought back my dolls? My darlings, my darlings! Oh, thank you, my darlings. Are safe at last, and happy to be home. As a token of my heartfelt appreciation, let me introduce you to my special attraction. Which, if we somehow manage to leave the actual place again, so in this case though, we would be able to actually unlock one of the 2 extra visions. So yes, there's only 2 extra visions in this game, unlike the forms of how it does it on the original game, only has 1. So as a result though, that's the reason why I say 2 extra visions, well, we'll get more details about this, because as you can tell, the first extra vision we'll hit on to is the forms of Chamber of Fun. So basically it's all about You know, with the forms of tough obstacle challenges as you expected when it comes to the forms of extra things throughout the game, well, basically it's the fact that we have to go through all goblins of the forms of specific challenges, ranging from the forms of, you know, use enemies as projectiles, just like before, and also about the fact that you can able to actually obtain some crystals along the way. Here's the thing about the forms of the crystals in this game though, as far as originally we were expecting to able to go for this 100% completion playthrough. Unfortunately though, that's not going to happen, mainly because, as you can tell from this level's case, some of these crystals are damn near impossible to get. Especially noticeable, you have to be so right on with the timing and what have you, because if you time this wrong enough, then you probably will get a miss of chance by, simply gonna have to able to actually just to try and able to replay for the actual stuff over and over and over again. But I digress. So yeah, today's day is of course the Friday the 19th of November today, in this case in 2021 today. And it looks like that so far that Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl just recently came out today for the Nintendo Switch. So either way though, I just want to give you guys a bit of a heads up, especially noticeable about the fact that if you really excited with that particular remake, which it might be fine for me, except the fact that, well, usually relatively speaking, there are some controversials of anything else to be resides, like, you know, with the actual the Pokédex system is like, you know, significantly nerfed and all that stuff though, and also that apparently that someone in the comments keep on saying about the fact that, are you gonna do Plants vs Zombies Let's Play by any chance? Well, I was tempted, but I'm honestly not a big fan of the game, I must be honest. Although, don't get me wrong, it is an interesting concept in theory, but I have to admit it though right away, I'm not exactly a huge Plants vs Zombies kind of fanfare. Mainly because of how the fact that I have heard about the Let's Plays of the game, and especially noticeable some speedrunners attempt to do it as well, but it's not my interest, I must be honest, mainly because, well, I have managed to play one of them before, but for whatever reason, it's not my interest, I must be honest. Well, then again though, that I usually do some specific Let's Plays my own way, so it might not be specific though, but usually it's far from the case, so anyways, let's go ahead and use this little electrical enemy there, so just in case we can able to just have the ability to able to get up there, to able to actually continue our proceedings for this level, so. But of course, before we get into that though, we need to grab some even more crystals, despite the fact that it's just for the sake of the forms of likely. So, if you ever think about it, it's the fact that in order able to actually just to get yourselves a whole entire page collection for the sake of the forms of the scrapbook, in order able to, I would say, in order able to actually get every single pages throughout the game, throughout the course of the forms of the scrapbook, I would say that you have to get exactly 150 crystals in total for each level, which I was like, I think that's the perfect example of why that I somehow don't usually do it that much in the console games, whilst unlike the handheld games, that's ranging from Moonlight Museum and Empire of Dreams, and probably potentially the Dream Champ tournament until next year, then I usually just manage to able to go after crystals, so just in case we can able to see the entire unlockable method if you manage to go for that task. So, just want to classify that. And also, we've managed able to beat this level for about 3 minutes and 30 seconds and 53 milliseconds. So, not too bad, even though it does have some slow moments here and there, but apart from those side of things though, it's not too shabby. And also worth knowing for is the fact that every time you die on those extra visions, well, thankfully, there's no extra lives draining, so because of that, unlike an extra vision in the original Klonoa game, Daughter Phantomile, that's basically that particular level is super generous with you when it comes to giving you multiple extra lives, especially noticeable that is definitely one of the hardest levels in the original Klonoa Daughter Phantomile game indeed. So now we need to hit back there again, and you're able to say something, so, oh! I can't believe this, my sweeties. You've managed to bring each and every one of them all back. Your skills are truly amazing. There's no denying you now. How about I show you my top secret attraction? but don't let anyone else in on the secret, okay? Okay then, so after we talk with him for the 3rd time in a row, then obviously that we can able to actually just leave this particular place again, and able to actually unlock, I would say, the final platforming level. In this case, the true final level in the game, which is Chamber of Horrors. So, I think this is without doubt one of the hardest ones, at least specifically one of the hardest levels in the game. At least if you try to able to go after every single, like, crystals and all that stuff though, which is definitely not possible in my honest opinion. Because, well, I don't know if I can usually just try to able to get into any further more details about that particular stuff worth noting for it. But anyway, let's get into the actual level itself. And this is probably going to be as by far as the hardest level in the game. So because of that though, there's going to be some tough obstacles here and there. Especially noticeable that you still need to rely on the forms of some bit of double jumps here and there. But luckily we, as I said before, that if you somehow die into those extra vision levels, as you can tell, that lives does not be taken. Whilst unlike in Klonoa 1, for the sake of the forms of the PS1 version, along with the Wii remake, that basically you lose the lives if you do manage to keep on dying a lot in extra vision. And that could be also applied on the forms of Moonlight Museum, as well as the forms of Empire of Dreams. Although, what if we get into Dream Champ Tournament though? That'll be an entirely different story. Ah, dang it! I somehow messed this up. But, thankfully, we'll just have to keep trying nonetheless, especially noticeable about the fact that, well, we're really hoping that we can get a multitude of, like, checkpoints here and there after each section has been done, much like the forms of how it does it on the, you know, the extra visions in the past games for sure. So, I digress. So, another thing I should probably explain about this as well, about the fact the matter is that I managed to recently downloaded quite a few stuff onto my laptop, ranging by the forms of Sonic Robo Blast 2, that I definitely heard some good things about it, especially noticeable about the fact that, well, apparently that the Robo Blast 2 card might be the most fun out of the forms of the Sonic Robo Blast 2 fan games and stuff like that. Well, I've managed able to finally got the game at long last. After so many years, I was really hoping I can able to play the game. But it does take a while to get used to with the controls and all that. But I don't know if they might able to actually support in the wired controller and stuff. But either way though, I'll definitely have to double check on that once I finish this recording session. And also on top of that, I also managed to able to found another DS emulator, which this time is the forms of no $sign GBA, which it actually plays out a combination of both the Game Boy Advance and DS games all in one particular emulator. But I think for the most part, whenever I did manage to download something, ranging by the forms of only 3 games, which are Mario Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, and as well as WarioWare Touched, and even WarioWare DIY, in this case do it yourself, for the DS, and I think for the most part it actually works quite well. There might be a few bit of hiccups here and there, but regardless of such though, I think it runs quite well. Although, unfortunately though, whenever I tested out Sonic Rush or Sonic Rush Adventure or Sonic Colors on the DS, unfortunately though, it does come across into a lot of frame rate drops here and there, or even in some cases, it chugs the whole way through. So because of that though, yeah, I think it's suffice to say, unfortunately the Sonic Rush trilogy of Let's Plays is still not going to happen, mainly because of the forms of the requirements of, well, let's say, smooth gameplay and all that stuff, which is kind of a shame, honestly, because I would like to able to actually tackle for those Let's Plays of those games for you guys, especially noticeable about the fact that we are, you know, the die-hard Sonic fan, as to be expected. But as a result though, it's just unfortunate about the fact that those 3 games never gets its re-release on the forms of digital distributions, especially noticeable with, well, I would like to try out the Kingdom Hearts games as well for the DS, but unfortunately though, it might run the same issue as the forms of the Sonic Rush trilogy, I'm afraid. So, although we might possibly able to try to test out Super Princess Peach in the other day, well, at least we'll find out until then. So either way though, let's just go ahead and trying to able to... Oh, jeez, I keep on getting hit most of the time, but at least I'm hoping I can able to pass this no matter what. So... yeah, there's not much right to home about with the forms of those extra vision levels, honestly. It's just the fact that... oh, okay. Whatever. At least I'm safe here, so just in case I don't mess up this time. Ah! Dang it all. But, again, we don't need to worry about the forms of the extra life system, like I said, so, which I guess is like a good thing, especially noticeable about the fact that, well, relatively speaking, it's just the fact that, well, it can be pretty tricky in some situations. Well, to be more specifically, if you're trying to go after those little, crystals and all that stuff, which, it might be mandatory if you really want to be able to see the rest of the forms of the scrapbook. And unfortunately I died again just because I keep on getting hit a lot, so... oh well, beggars cells can be choosers and I just died again. Dang it! Okay, whatever. So I suppose I should probably mention about this as well, that, well, as far as I'm aware... oh god, I wasn't paying attention, I'm really sorry about this. But, hopefully we should able to pass this no matter what, so... anyway, so let's go ahead and, oh gosh. Okay, I think that pretty much does it from there. I know there's definitely the blue fairy that usually appears somewhere, but I think it might actually be impossible to obtain. Okay, there we go. Now we pass to that particular tricky part, especially noticeable. Thankfully, the invincibility, hit, or the invincibility frames hit, to somehow manage to help me throughout, but unfortunately I died again. But luckily I got the checkpoint just right near to it, so I don't have to worry about that specific stuff at this rate. So alright, so we need this enemy to once again just use the enemies to let that munchy thing just start to able to eat from that particular hole. So I think that was the true definition of the final time we can do this, because god. At least, thankfully, the checkpoint's right there. So, thankfully, the checkpoints are so generous with you for this level, because obviously, if you keep on dying just like that, well, basically, that you can able to respawn back into where you, oh, really? Okay, whatever. Hey, I'm not having a good luck for this point, guys, I must be honest, but it knows where it stands, so... although actually gonna think about it, I would like to mention about the forms of certain pickups I just recently picked up for the sake of the past few days, but unfortunately though there's not much right to home about, because well, aside from the fact that this Let's Play is almost finished by now, so at least we can able to expect to see what's gonna be up for the sake of time. Well, at least for I've able to actually just try to mention something like that, so... anyway, so we've managed able to pass that part, and another checkpoint clock, so we can able to actually just to do just that. Unfortunately though, that will be the final time we're going to be seeing a actual checkpoint clock, because until whenever we get into Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament, that's basically checkpoints will able to be active if you manage to go to the next room and stuff like that. Just like in the forms of how it does it on Empire of Dreams for the Game Boy Advance. So yeah, that might be something usually decided to able to discuss upon. So alright, so I think, I don't know if I was supposedly just trying to say that this will be the last section of the level, I'm presuming so. Well, despite the fact that I haven't exactly obtained that much of those, you know, crystals and all that stuff, but that's perfectly fine by me, because I would like to able to actually just to do for that run, but unfortunately though, it might be a bit, difficult for my taste, especially noticeable if you're trying to go for the actual, you know what I mean, the true 100% completion with the scrapbook and everything. Well, you're just gonna have to able to aim for 150 crystals in each and every single level in this game. Although, luckily, boss battles doesn't count for the sake of the forms of the actual, like, completionist and stuff like that. So it's just a matter of the forms of, well, just try to able to collect the insane amount of those crystals in each and every single level. So that might be a difficult part, especially noticeable in these two bonus levels right there for the extra visions. I will do those in my own time if I decide to able to actually replay the game again, just for the sake of the forms of trying to able to, like, you know what I mean, when it comes to collecting everything and stuff like that. Oh my goodness gracious me! But that's okay, because the checkpoint is just right nearby, and also I'll take invincibility frames if I get hit, so... That's fine by me, even though despite the fact that, yeah, this level's pretty difficult, I'm not gonna lie. Especially noticeable, you have to rely on the forms of the timing with that. You know, the wind bullets and all that stuff to able to reach certain enemies, but again, you can able to, well, mostly you can die as many times as you want to this time around, although that it will totally waste your time if you keep on dying a lot, so that might be some consumption worth noting for. So, hopefully this should able to do this. Oh, okay. Oh, jeez, that was a close one. Oh, jeez, I forgot about that enemy over there. And, hopefully we should hop onto that spring there. And does that usually takes me? I think that takes me to the next section or the end of a level. So, let's double check what's up there. And, as far as I'm aware, there's just more crystals to obtain. So, yeah, not much right to hum about aside from that particular bounce pad. Oh, sorry, I did not meant to say bounce pad because that would be the most annoying line in a terrible Wii U game. But anyway, oh yeah, that's the end of the level. So, yep, I was right all along. Even though it actually did took me about 9 minutes and 25 seconds and 23 milliseconds, but that's okay because that's what trial and error stands for the sake of the forms of keep on dying a lot for the sake of the majority of the stages. So, but at least thankfully that you don't need to worry about extra lives because your lives does not go down if you just manage to die in those levels. So, anyway, so now we're done with that, and once you completed those 2 extra vision levels, as far as I'm aware, then we actually get ourselves another reward, which, you know, the forms of, well, you'll find out in just a moment. Oh dear, what to do? I never thought anyone who cleared that challenge. Very well. I'll give you something very special as a record to commemorate your victory. Come down and enjoy it to my heartily gladly at any time you feel like it. So this means that much like the forms of the music player for the sake of Klonoa Daughter Phantomile for the PlayStation 1, along with the Wii remake, is the fact that once you finish those 2 you know, extra vision levels, as you can tell, that we once again managed to able to actually access the sound test. And basically, just like before, you can able to listen to some cool music and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's nothing like new or anything. It's just that we're most likely familiar with those specific stuff if you ever played the original game before. But it's nice to have regardless of such. Especially noticeable that if you manage to able to try to accomplish certain things like that, then you would able to actually feel right at home just trying to listen to this, well, you know, an amazing music and stuff like that. So either way though, that might be something worth noting for the sake of like the actual time and stuff like that. So yeah, that was the actual award right there. So I suppose I should probably explain about this as well. That usually you gotta think about is the fact that one thing I suppose I forgot to mention about, and that is the fact that, well, I think my only gripe with I have with this game is that it came out almost the exact same month as in, to me, one of my least favorite Tom and Jerry movies, which is Tom and Jerry The Magic Ring. I know I keep saying this a lot for the majority of the actual the videos as of late, but I just be honest here, I'm not a big fan of that film because, well, that film just blows to me, so. But anyways, in regards to everything else though, I will still say this right now, that Klonoa 2 Lunatea's Veil as a sequel to one of my favorite series of all time, that you should probably recommend this game still. Like I already mentioned about the forms of my final thoughts of it already, ever since whenever we finish up with the forms of the main story mode throughout the game, although I would like to be able to show off the rest of the forms of the scrapbook pages, but unfortunately though, because of the way how the fact that we have to collect the certain amount of crystals we need to get, it's just a bit time consuming, I must be honest. So, but anyways, and also, every time whenever you complete those 2 special levels, as you can see, we actually got 2 trophies on top of the actual shelf. So meaning that you actually accomplished something like that. So because of that though, I think this is certainly appreciated with that specific reward if you manage to able to obtain a trophy like that. So, yeah, regardless of everything else though, that's as far as you can able to get with those rewards in mind. So because of that though, well, aside from the fact that you can able to decide to have a rematch against with those previous bosses again. Although, unlike the forms of how it does it on the Klonoa Daughter Phantom Isle for the Wii remake, they do have some extra content ranging from the forms of, well, boss attacks, in addition to reverse mode, and especially noticeable with the costume outfit change, that I found this really cool and satisfying at the same time. And also on top of that is the fact that you can able to actually just to go ahead and try to able to actually what I was trying to say. Oh yeah, look on character facts, and especially noticeable with the forms of well, just anything else really. So it's kind of a shame that we didn't get that much extra content if you decided able to like complete the whole thing. Well, aside from those, you know, grinding for more crystals to obtain to able to get the rest of the scrapbooks. So yeah, I think suffice to tell you, although before we end things off at this point right here, that will show you guys briefly about the forms of the actual scrapbook pages if you manage to able to obtain every single crystals throughout the whole game. I know it's a bit time consuming if you're trying to able to go for that task, but I must be honest here, it's just the fact that I do apologize if the forms of my commentary gets a little bit snuffled up at points. So yeah, this is what you're essentially going to be able to see on the scrapbook. That was a front cover. And also there's one from the likes of Sea of Tears, and also some pretty cool imagery of the forms of, well, just any kind of environment with, you know, Lolo and Polka, along with Klonoa, enjoys themselves throughout the majority of the environments. So, yeah, that's essentially how you can get where it comes to forms to try to able to 100% everything for Klonoa 2 Lunatea's Veil. And yeah, that's pretty much as far as I can say about this game. You should still recommend it, and I think that, as I said, this game can get a bit pricey every now and then, especially noticeable this was released in 2001, so I still have no idea why that Klonoa games didn't usually sell as much as the forms of how it does it on some mascots out there. But regardless of such though, I think for what I've heard, that this game does so well when it comes to the sales numbers compared to the rest of the series. At least if I remember correctly, but it knows what it is. Seriously, that shot right there with the hoverboard with Klonoa, it does almost reminds me of Sonic Riders vibe. Although, it would be weird if Sonic come across into Klonoa as in a crossover with like, as a Sonic Riders cameo and stuff like that. Well, it's hard to explain, but either way though, it's just a shame that Klonoa has been short-lived, so it kind of sucks honestly. So, but I digress. Thank you guys so much for watching of our Let's Play of Klonoa 2, Lunatea's Veil for the PlayStation 2. Hope you guys do enjoy this particular playthrough, and I surely do enjoy this playthrough as well. So, because of that though, I am very proud that I've managed to able to tackle this game for you guys. Especially noticeable after going through Klonoa 1 for the PlayStation 1, along with the Wii remake, aside from the same thing, except with English dub voices, and also on top of that, Klonoa Moonlight Museum for the Bandai WonderSwan, and also Klonoa Empire of Dreams for the Game Boy Advance, and now we've actually finished up this game, Klonoa 2, Lunatea's Veil, and I think that, technically speaking, we've only got one game left. So as a result, next up, in terms of the forms of the Klonoa retrospective of games, up next it will be Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament for the Game Boy Advance. Originally I was also going to include Klonoa Heroes, but it might be a bit too long for my taste, and also it's completely in Japanese, so I don't know if I can usually decide to tackle for that game honestly, but I don't know. So yeah, this is me, Ray the Flying Squirrel from the Maxi Toys, and until then, I'll meet you guys soon. Later fellas.